Hey everyone, welcome to Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences video podcast. I am Heather Hoops Matthews, here in the studio today and connecting with my colleague Lauren DeMoss, a Maynard Nexsen healthcare lawyer based in our Birmingham office. Lauren, good to be with you.
Heather, great to be here and really excited to begin hosting these podcasts with you.
I know it is. It's nice to see your pleasant smile as we get going. And joining us today is the best-selling author and founder of the Healthy Living School, Dr. Ann. She was valedictorian of her medical school class and quickly determined that many of her patients' ailments could be helped by altering what they eat. Since then, Dr. Ann has built a national nutrition platform and has been featured as an expert on vast number of networks, including the Dr. Oz Show, Oprah and Friends, Time Magazine, not network, but a publication, WebMD, Prevention, U.S. News and World Report. The list goes on and on and on. Dr. Ann, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm delighted to be with you. Thank you so much for having me.
As we begin, would you tell us a little bit about your medical background and how you grew into your current role?
Sure. So, I, from a very small age, knew I wanted to be a physician. I come from a huge, almost like ridiculous lineage of science and medicine. Put it this way, to kind of summarize it, I'm a sixth generation physician. There are 23 members of my family, if you consider my father's side, my mother's side, and my husband.
Wow.
We count to 23 people that have gone in my family that have gone to MUSC and graduated as physicians. There's no way to tell you how many there are. So, that was in me. I think it's in my DNA. And that was my track. I wanted to be a physician. And what happened was my father had a big influence on me. He had an interest in nutrition. He was a general surgeon, very accomplished. And I ended up studying nutrition as an undergraduate simply because I loved it. And you always make good grades in what you love, right? Because it's so effortless and easy to learn it. And I knew I needed good grades to get in medical school. So that was the reason I sort of, kind of went into nutrition and had that academic background, but then went on to medical school, always expecting to go into academic medicine. I love teaching, and just thought that was what I was going to do. And I'm not going to give you the full story, but I ended up in primary care, not by choice, almost because of constraints with my marriage. My husband was also a physician, and we were trying to train and track, obviously, with each other. And, there were some here and there constraints that kind of forced me to do things I didn't necessarily really want to do. But, looking back now, it's all a blessing, because I couldn't do what I do now had I not taken every step I've taken in my career, which has been quite circuitous. So I ended up in primary care, learned to love that, and did that for many years. I worked in the military in primary care for 4 years because my husband was an ophthalmologist in the military. Then when he finished his stint there, we went back to my hometown. I had a private practice, really robust private practice in family medicine. And again, loved it. I was there about 18 years. But what happened with that practice is it was a culmination of multiple factors. I'm just someone that always is very open to what am I receiving I need to be doing. And I was kind of getting very strong intuitive feelings, but there's something bigger and better out there I'm supposed to do. And I knew it was in this wonderful world of wellness, which beginning in the early 90s, there started to be this explosive amount of science, like really telling us, oh my goodness, most of what we are as clinicians seeing in the office could be prevented through diet and lifestyle. And, I had that background in that. And so, again, lots of various things that kind of pushed me in that direction. But I finally came after about 3 years of serious contemplation of this and feeling called that was really what I was supposed to be doing. And not being able to do that adequately in clinical medicine. It just doesn't lend itself, because so much of lifestyle medicine is teaching and empowering people. And at one point, I told my husband, I said, I'm leaving clinical practice. He thought I was nuts. He said, you're crazy. Go to the shrink. You need to get your head examined. Why would you walk away from this very successful You have an incredible reputation, you have this robust practice, you make a really good living, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just knew I was called into this. And I did both for a little bit. And so here I am one day in the office writing prescriptions for, Lipitor for someone with high cholesterol. Then the next day I've started this like wellness kind of practice where I'm sitting down and instead of writing the prescription, I'm spending an hour with that person, explaining to them what they can easily do through their diet and lifestyle to get that under control. Anyway, and lo and behold, I finally realized I'm going to make the clean break. It's time to do it. I know this is what I'm called to do. I'm going to do it. I had no idea where it would take me. It was really treading into uncharted waters as a clinician, as a physician. And I could write a book about what has happened in my life. Never in my wildest dreams would I've ever told you I would have been able to do what I've done in terms of, writing makes my hands sweat, right? And I've written 6 books.
Right.
I've spoken all over the country, even outside the country. I now have my online school. I love what I do. I feel like I have the best job in the world. It is so fun. It is so inspiring. It's so rewarding. And I'm just so grateful. And I couldn't be where I am now and doing what I do had I not done all of those things, right? Made all the, gone to med school, every step I've taken has played a key role in where I am now. So,
and Dr. Ann, you talk about kind of the shift in your career, right? From clinical to the lifestyle. And it's our understanding that in medical schools now, and given that you have so many physicians in the family and you're 6th generation, it's our understanding that in addition to teaching kind of just the clinical stuff, there's now a transition to teaching this lifestyle medicine in the classroom while folks are in medical school. Is that kind of what's going on? And what are your thoughts on that?
It's fascinating. Yes, there's a definite trend. There is now a board certification, a primary care clinician can get in lifestyle medicine. We have 2 here in Charleston now. Had that been available when back 24 and more years ago, when I was in clinical medicine, that would have been the track I would have taken, but it wasn't available. And so that's a wonderful thing. And I traditionally go to that yearly meeting, and it is the most encouraging thing. In fact, that meeting has gotten so big. There are so many MDs now interested in lifestyle medicine. They have a hard time finding venues to accommodate this meeting. I'm talking, the last one I went to, there were 600 MDs in that audience.
Wow.
Amazing. Now, medical school, I'm just going to say it, medical education is like a lot of entrenched bureaucracies. It just doesn't change quickly. And it is still pathetically lacking in appropriate training in nutrition and lifestyle in a way that's shocking to someone like me who knows the facts. I mean, the single greatest cause of disease and death globally now is nutrition. And that has been the case in America for over, 9 or 10 years. We have 500,000 people dying a year simply from, poor diets in America. This has been going on year after year after year, and it impacts every single chronic disease, every single one, profoundly. Profoundly. We can now reverse many diseases through diet and lifestyle. So, it's encouraging, but they still have a huge ways to go. In fact, I think the logic would be for me, have that the priority training in medicine is diet and lifestyle. And if we did that, we would need so much less of these, clinical care specialists, right? We would. Mm-hmm. And it would be so much more cost effective, right? But again, you're dealing with very entrenched, it's no person's fault, it's just entrenched sort of bureaucratic type institutions.
Right.
But it's getting better.
It is getting better. But yet there still seems to be just an endless number of diet fads and eating plans and, different things on the internet being marketed these days. as to their effectiveness, I don't know. But what of all that, what is the number one sort of nutrition question that you might hear, and what would you like people to focus on, whether it's that or something else?
Yes. Okay. And you bring up a real important point, the confusion, which is one of the biggest things someone like me, as an evidence-based, totally devoted expert to diet and lifestyle, trying to get the correct word out. And what is happening is it's largely been created, this confusion, this just like, almost this like no, just constant clutter of noise of like this and that, and now you're saying this, now you're saying that. The two major forces perpetuating that debacle are commercial interest that have something they're selling, right? All right. And then unfortunately, and media, who again, they're just trying to sell their media, and things that are provocative and things that are shocking and things that are counter to conventional wisdom they sell. And so those are the two things that have created. And then we have this digital media, which has got, great things about it, but bad things. And some of the bad things is, you have those non-evidence-based entities that can push their agendas and their ideologies out there that just are perpetually confusing people. So that's kind of what we're constantly up against. And then, but on the other side, the great news is there's no way to tell you and to express the science, the absolute rock solid science we have about these absolute truths. And yes, there are, science is always advancing, and there are things, new things that will come down the pike, and there'll be minor tweaks, perhaps to this core biologic reality that we know that we need to be sharing with people. And that's what people need to know, that we know really most everything you need to do through diet and lifestyle and to be healthy. And that is just that is rock solid, an evidence base that's kind of rock solid. And yeah, there's going to be little tweaky things we find out as we move forward, but most of what we need, we already have, right? We already have it. And so what I would tell people in a simple way, if you wanted, just the nuts and bolts, first of all, nutrition is foundational, which is why I spend so much of my time. And I do like people to know, because they oftentimes will bill me as just a nutrition expert, but I'm very well versed in the full spectrum of lifestyle medicine. So it's the nutrition piece, it's a physical activity piece, it's the sleep piece. We just recorded an entire course on sleep yesterday, and even the breathing piece, right? So these multiple pieces, and the stress control piece. But the nutrition piece is foundational. Okay. So get that in place as a priority in your life, because the remaining lifestyle factors can't work their magic until you get that piece in place. Okay. And so nutrition's big. And in that realm, here are two simple things. I'll give you three simple things. And I have a program called the 3-Step Solution. That's the simplest I can give it to someone, like how to eat for optimal health. The first thing is eat real food. Stay away from processed foods. I cannot stress how important that is. And I could talk for an hour about why, but eat real food. And you say to yourself, the lens you use before you put something in your mouth, before you select a food or whatever, you say to yourself, could my great-great-great-grandmother have eaten that or made that in her kitchen? So if you're eating something that doesn't come directly from the earth, right? Something is found or something is grown direct from Mother Nature, then it's got ingredients in it, like it may have come out of a factory. Look at the ingredients and say to yourself, do I have those things in my kitchen? Or could I have those things in my kitchen? Could I make that? And if the answer is no, don't do it. Stop doing it. Processed foods are a huge problem. So that's number one. And that's going to take people a long, long way right there. The second thing is we've got to have plant variety. And this relates to the big story of the gut microbiome that we now know is, basically think of the gut microbiome as the master of ceremonies operating our body's key, most fundamental life processes that are keeping us alive: our immune function, our metabolic function, our behavior, with our appetite control, inflammation, all these, really, really foundational pathways that are making you make or break your health. Okay. And for the microbiome, you've got to get plant variety, because the only thing those good gut bugs, thrive off of, which are, they're running your show. They're the master of ceremonies. You want a lot of them. You need a full gamut of experts. You need tons of species. They eat fiber, and the only place you can get fiber is plant-based foods: fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. And the greater the diversity of fiber you eat, i.e. the greater the diversity of plant-based foods you eat, the greater the diversity of gut microbes you're going to have. And diversity of gut microbes is the top predictor of a healthy ecosystem of gut bugs. And the top predictor of the healthiest microbiomes, which are these diverse microbiomes, is consuming 30 or more different plant species a week, right? So plant variety, huge story. And there are many days I'm getting 15 different plants, maybe even 20. Okay. And so I know all this can be done. And then the third thing is the importance of the timing of when you eat. Big story, big story, right? And this is, sometimes referred to as time restricted feeding or intermittent fasting. Is the concept of making sure that you are eating in tune with your body's circadian rhythm, which means you're limiting your eating each and every day to at least a 12-hour window. And ideally, you're eating how our ancestors from the beginning of time would eat and how our body is best equipped. You're eating in the day, and you're trying to end your eating as close to sundown as possible. And in that light, you're trying to front load as much as you can with your eating. Eat a bigger breakfast or a bigger lunch, and then a much smaller dinner. And that is related to the fact that our bodies absolutely have to be rested each and every day. It's extremely taxing on the body, all of our cells, to keep us alive and functioning optimally. And it's in this resting phase, when we don't take in food, where the body is going through its kind of detoxing and reequilibrating and rebooting and actually healing. And if you're eating like over 50% Americans over a 14 or more hour period, it's virtually guaranteed that you're not giving your body the daily opportunity to heal. And so much of disease, people need to know this, is lack of healing. Okay. So we need this fasting phase every day. And if someone has a medical issue, they're trying to get better, if they can shift that eating window to 10 or 9 hours, sometimes even 8, at least for the short term, it is very powerful. Anyway, so that's the big things with the eating. It's pretty simple.
And those are, excellent tips, Dr. And we've heard all three of them. I think about the list of ingredients, and my husband and I would go to the store, if the list is this long, don't buy it. There's something in there that you
don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Not buy it.
And what these strange things do is foster the growth of these abnormal pathologic gut bugs that are doing all this crazy things to people. And, we really do see that disease, we think, begins right there in the gut. You can take the gut microbes from an obese human being and put it into lean mice, and they immediately gain weight. You can take the gut microbes of depressed human beings, put that into mice, they immediately get depression. Okay. And so this is what people need to get. It's the microbiome health thing is like foundational. Yeah.
When I think about these tips you've provided, and Heather, alluded to, how much is out there now. There's a lot of noise, right? There are a lot of fads, a lot of diet tips, and we're in the digital age where that's very easily accessible to everyone. That's right. In terms of your followers and your message, how do you kind of view the digital age, social media as beneficial? Like what do you offer your followers? What kind of information are you pushing out that helps kind of push away all the noise?
Yeah. So digital media has been, in a sense, a godsend on multiple fronts. So now that we have unprecedented access to information fast and conveniently. And from my standpoint, one of the most amazing things is traditionally it has been about, and this is crazy, think about it, it traditionally took about 17 years from to get good science out of the ivory towers of academia, where they're doing this bench work research, and into the realm of physicians having access to it, and even even for the lay public, right? And I mean, that's a long, long window of time, and that's a tragedy. So now with this new media, for example, some of the world-class experts, I'm talking the scientists that are in the labs in Harvard and these big academic institutions, they now have their own podcast. Mm-hmm. And because they are such esteemed scientists, and they know they can access the expert in this and this and this, it's a network there. They are bringing them on the podcast and say, okay, this is the world-class expert in intermittent fasting. And people now can go immediately and hear what these world-class experts that are doing, that have done the 30 years of science, they can hear from them directly. This is amazing. And then you have, of course, access, like for me, I mean, before we started this podcast, there's a very close family, member is facing a very bad, or not a bad, but just facing a diagnosis, and is going to have that treatment. And I'm on the, already on the web, and I'm looking at all the best stuff right away. And I see that, right? So that's a great thing. The other thing great for me is not only can I access experts quick, right? And I'm all about that. That's where I get my information. I want to go to the best of the best. The other thing is I then have a platform where I can push it out, right? I can push it out immediately, right? And you can do that on social media. And now I have an online school, for a long time. Okay, you can reach a lot of people with books. That's why I wrote a lot of books, right? It's leverages your content out. And with the online school, I mean, that's a dream for me, because I am way better at teaching like this, and like standing on a stage and teaching, or standing in front of a camera and doing it, versus writing it out, right? And it's actually more powerful to receive it that way, because we can also, on the digital school, also give it to them in the written form too, because both forms people learn different ways, and both forms are helpful. And so, and people can access it privately when they want. They can rewind, they can, watch it again and again and again. So, and I'm with my own eyes just watching this, and I love it, explosion, because for a long time, I was very alone. I mean, I was such a weirdo in terms of the MD world of like doing this, but like, okay, for example, the Gut Health MD, I mean, Will, he's not like flipping world famous. And Will is in Charleston.
I know he is.
I have mentored Will, right?
Yes.
He's starting out, and I'm telling him, get ready. You're going to be famous. I knew he would be.
Yes.
I told him, I said, get ready. In fact, he's at a big talk one time, and I'm doing the key, I'm doing the talk, and he's in the audience, and I'm telling everyone, get his autograph now.
Well, you're right.
He's going to be famous. And he is, and he deserves to be. And it's amazing his knowledge and what he's doing. And so, he's someone that kind of, you see how the difference in the career trajectory, because he was able to come in the digital age, and it just exploded. I mean, but Will's only been at 4 years. I've been at this for 25, right?
Yes.
And there are more Wills. There are lots of them now. And it's just great. It's awesome. But
it's exciting.
And with the non coming from a good place, non-expert experts. So, right, people that are positioning themselves on social media, and some of them have professional degrees, but what's driving them is ideology, and what's driving them is commercial interest, and so it's hard because they're out there and they're very convincing.
Yes. So, like with anything, you have to know your source. right? So
You must know your source.
must know your source.
That's right.
Well, our time has flown by, Dr. Ann. If you're willing, I think we need to have you back for round 2, and we can just talk about the other part of healthy lifestyle more than nutrition, because I do know for our audience, which includes a lot of lawyers, that there is a lot to discuss about stress management and sleep and things like that.
I would love that. I would welcome it. You can have me multiple times because there's a
Thank
lot
you.
to share. And I know that life, and
Yes.
I would welcome that. So
Yes. Well, on behalf of Lauren and the whole team at Taking the Pulse, thank you for your time and your good work
thank you.
for the greater
Thank you for
good.
discussing it. Thank you for helping me share what I do. And I think it's awesome that you have your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you who have joined us today on Taking the Pulse, I hope you have learned a little bit, maybe been inspired to do a little bit more digging on nutrition and its impact on your health. We want you to be healthy, and we look forward to seeing you next time right here on Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences video podcast.